As John explored deeper into the temple, he came across a room filled with snakes. John froze, realizing that he had accidentally walked into a trap. The snakes slithered towards him, and John knew that he had to act quickly. Thinking on his feet, he grabbed a nearby stick and used it to defend himself against the snakes. He swung the stick wildly, trying to keep the snakes at bay. It was a risky move, but it was his only chance. After what felt like an eternity, John managed to make his way out of the room. He was shaken, but he knew that he couldn't let this setback stop him. He continued to explore the temple, searching for any valuable artifacts that may be hidden within its walls. Finally, he stumbled upon a chamber deep within the temple. The room was filled with precious treasures and ancient artifacts. As he searched the room, he found an object that caught his eye. It was an ancient amulet, intricately carved and made of solid gold. John knew that he had found something special. He carefully picked up the amulet and examined it, marveling at its beauty and craftsmanship. John then quickly got out of the temple and went on his way. As John made his way back through the dense jungle, he realized that he had not eaten in hours. His stomach was growling, and he knew that he needed to find something to eat. One of the most important skills John had learned was how to make a trap. Using the materials he found in the jungle, John set to work gathering sticks and vines to construct a simple trap. He carefully crafted a loop out of a piece of thread, then attached it to a small stick. The idea was to place the stick on a well-traveled path and wait for an unsuspecting animal to step into the loop. It took several attempts, but eventually John managed to set the trap. He placed the stick in a strategic location and waited patiently, hoping that an animal would take the bait. Hours went by, and John began to feel discouraged. He was hungry and thirsty, and the jungle was starting to take its toll on him. But he knew that he couldn't give up. Finally, he heard a rustling in the bushes. His heart began to race as he realized that something was approaching. He carefully peeked around the corner, and to his delight, he saw a small rabbit hopping towards his trap. With bated breath, John watched as the rabbit stepped into the loop, triggering the trap. The stick flew up, trapping the rabbit inside. John rushed over to the trap and quickly dispatched the animal, then set to work preparing it for his meal. After a delicious meal, John went on his way. The sun started to went down again. John had to find some shelter to keep himself safe from animals. As John explored deeper into the jungle, he found himself entering a narrow cave. But as he went further into the cave, he realized that he had made a grave mistake. The narrow passage was starting to close in, and soon he found himself trapped inside. John tried to remain calm, but his heart was racing. He was completely alone, with no way out of the cave. He knew that he had to find a way to escape, or he would be trapped there forever. He searched the cave, looking for any signs of an exit, but the walls were too narrow and the ceiling was too low. He was stuck. Hours went by, and John began to feel hopeless. He had no food, no water, and no way out. The darkness was starting to close in on him, and he felt himself slipping deeper into despair. As John was about to give up, he remembered his wife and children, which gave him hope. He gave everything he had to go further in cave to find an exit. As John was moving in the darkness, he noticed a faint glow in the distance. With renewed hope, John set out towards the light. As he got closer, he realized that it was coming from a small crack in the cave wall. With all his might, he pushed against the wall, and to his amazement, the wall fell down. John emerged from the cave, battered and bruised, but alive. As he looked out into the jungle, he felt a sense of wonder and gratitude. He spent hours inside the cave, and it was morning already. John's body was weak, and he was dying with hunger and thirst. But as he stumbled through the jungle, he heard the distant sound of a helicopter. He knew that this was his chance for rescue. With all the strength he could muster, John started to gather wood and brush to create a signal fire, but his body was weak and his hands were shaking. He had to take breaks and catch his breath, but he was determined to make the fire. John finally managed to start the fire. He watched as the smoke went up to the sky, praying that it would be enough to attract the attention of the helicopter. Minutes turned to hours, and John watched as the smoke slowly dissipated into the sky. He began to lose hope, thinking that he would be stuck in the jungle forever. But just as he was about to give up, he saw the helicopter in the distance. It was flying directly towards him. John waved his arms frantically, trying to get the attention of the pilot. The helicopter landed and John was rushed to safety. He was flown to a nearby hospital where he was treated for his injuries and dehydration. He was grateful to be alive, and he knew that he had been given a second chance. John decided to keep the golden amulet he found in temple as a memory. As he lay in his hospital bed, John thought about everything he had been through. He realized that he had been forced to rely on his own strength and resourcefulness to survive. And in doing so, he had discovered a new sense of resilience and determination. This was end of the story, Surviving the Wild. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring content.